Long before Game of Thrones or Braveheart showed us muddy battlefields, blood, and medieval passion, there was The Warlord, 1965, a movie that dared to show the Dark Ages as truly dark. Directed by Franklin J. Schaffner, who later gave the world Planet of the Apes and Patton, this film was unlike any historical epic of its time. It wasn't clean. It wasn't romanticized. It was raw, strange, sensual, and almost painfully realistic. But behind the armor and shields, this movie had secrets, weird production choices, lost edits, and historical controversies that turned it into one of the strangest medieval movies ever made. So buckle up. Here are 15 weird facts about The Warlord 1965, the film that Hollywood forgot but history buffs still whisper about. Fact 1. Charlton Heston almost refused the role. Charlton Heston, who played the knight Chrysagon de la Croix, was already a Hollywood legend, fresh off Ben-Hur and El Cid. But when he first read the script, he thought the character was too dark and morally complex. He said he didn't want to play a man who takes what he wants by right of conquest. He finally agreed only after Schaffner convinced him the film would show the true human cost of feudalism. Fact. Tartharil Castle was built from scratch. Most historical films use existing castles, but not The Warlord. The production team actually built an entire medieval fortress on the Normandy coast. They used wood, mud, and stone like real 11th century builders. It took months, and by the end, the set was so authentic that local historians wanted to preserve it. Sadly, it was torn down after filming ended. Fact 3. The droit du seigneur. Scene shocked audiences. The film famously depicts the medieval custom of droit du seigneur, where a lord supposedly had the right to sleep with a bride on her wedding night. Though historians now doubt it ever really existed, this scene caused major outrage in 1965. Some theaters even cut it entirely, calling it immoral. Ironically, that controversy made the movie unforgettable. Fact 4. It was based on a stage play. But few realized that The Warlord is based on a little-known 1950s play called The Lovers by Leslie Stevens. The play was small, psychological, and intimate. Universal wanted to make it bigger, so they turned it into a gritty war epic. Heston later said that if they'd kept it small, it might have become a timeless classic. Fact 5. The church hated it. Catholic critics blasted the film's portrayal of religion. Priests were shown as weak and politically manipulative, not heroic or spiritual. In Spain and Italy, religious boards banned it entirely. Universal even had to cut 12 minutes of religious criticism to get European approval. Fact 6. Heston did his own stunts and got hurt. During the intense siege scenes, Charlton Heston insisted on doing his own stunts, climbing walls, swinging swords, even riding horses into burning gates. During one take, he tore ligaments in his leg but refused to stop shooting. The pain you see on his face, 100% real. Fact 7. A young director learned from it. George Lucas once mentioned The Warlord as one of the films that inspired his sense of lived-in worlds. Lucas loved how dirty and imperfect everything looked. Armor dented, clothing ragged, mud everywhere. That used universe idea later shaped Star Wars. Fact 8. Universal didn't know how to market it. The studio expected a grand romantic epic like El Cid. Instead, they got a dark psychological tragedy. Posters advertised it as a love story, but the movie was closer to Macbeth. Audiences were confused, critics were split, and the film quietly disappeared after a few weeks in theaters. Fact 9. The sea was real and dangerous. The coastal scenes were shot on location in California and on the stormy coast of Normandy. Waves nearly destroyed the wooden castle multiple times. Crew members said filming was like going to war. One assistant director almost drowned while trying to retrieve a prop shield. Fact 10. It had one of the most accurate medieval sets ever made. Every spear, every candle, even the ladders were designed based on real 11th century research. The film's historian Dr. Andrew Hall demanded no modern nails, no flat glass, and no modern rope knots. He said, if it looks too perfect, it's wrong. Fact 11. The love story was scandalous for 1965. The romantic scenes between Heston's knight and Rosemary Forsyth's peasant girl were considered too sensual for their time. They pushed the boundaries of what was allowed in Hollywood before the MPAA ratings existed. The censors called it dangerously intimate. Fact 12. It was the first major film for Richard Boone. After TV fame, Richard Boone, famous from the Western Have Gun, Will Travel, played Heston's loyal warrior brother. Critics said Boone's grim performance gave the film its soul. Oddly, Boone hated the armor so much that he refused to wear it off camera, even during breaks. Fact 13. The ending was changed at the last minute. The original ending had Chrysagon dying tragically, impaled on a spear while defending the villagers. But Universal thought it was too downbeat. They ordered a last-minute re-edit showing him wounded but alive. The result? Confusion. Even fans still argue which ending is canon. Fact 14. It was almost called The Right of the Lord before settling on the Warlord. Universal went through dozens of titles. The Right of the Lord, The Lovers of the Cross, Night of Darkness, even The Tower. Heston reportedly said, "If you call it The Lovers of the Cross, I'll quit." So they changed it. Fact 15. The film's legacy lives quietly in modern epics. Even though it wasn't a hit, directors from Ridley Scott to Mel Gibson studied The Warlord for its realism. The dirt, the moral complexity, the human weakness, all of it influenced later films like Gladiator and Kingdom of Heaven. It was a movie far ahead of its time, too strange, too honest, too dark for 1965, so next time someone says medieval movies were all shiny knights and fair maidens, remind them of The Warlord. It was brutal, poetic, and unapologetically human. It showed the Middle Ages not as fantasy, but as survival, where love and power clashed like swords. Though it never became a box office legend, The Warlord stands as a forgotten cornerstone of cinematic realism, a film that dared to look history in the face and show its scars. And maybe that's why 60 years later it still feels weirdly modern and hauntingly real. That's it for today's Weird Movie Deep Dive. If you enjoyed these facts, make sure to check out our next episode, because Hollywood history is always stranger than fiction.